So once again, I want to welcome you to class today, focusing now, rather than on logic, though using logic, focusing on ethics. And this is actually going to be a class period where we're going to be somewhat interactive. I'm hoping that the people that we are missing show up here in just a minute. But what you're going to want to have is a sheet of paper to write some of your ideas down on. I've got a couple questions here right at the very beginning of class to get us thinking about right conduct. Before we go there, though, does anyone know if Celia is alive and well? Oh, here she is. Okay, finally. Okay. She should be joining us. So what I'm going to do, and by the way, some of you will be called upon today to speak, so be ready for that. And the answers that you're going to give to these questions are perhaps something you'll be sharing with the class. You can read it off your paper, or you can sort of summarize. That would be fine too. So let's look at, whoa, ignore that, the introduction to ethics. Question number 1. There's only 2 questions, by the way. Is it wrong to lie? Is it wrong to lie? Sometimes I want to lie. Maybe it's right to lie sometimes. Is it wrong to lie? If it is wrong, why? And the second question is going to be very similar to the first one, although perhaps a bit more cut and dried, or at least that's what you might think. Next question is going to be, is it wrong to steal? Is it wrong to lie? Is it wrong to steal? I know Anna's saying, yep, it's wrong to steal. But is it really? Is it really, Anna? Is it wrong to steal? No. Lindsay, you don't know if it's wrong to steal?
Or you're asking me?
Not
Yes,
yet.
it is wrong.
You said it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
Maybe.
Uh-huh.
I might disagree.
Go for it. If only we had Hannah in this class to argue against you.
That would be entertaining. Can we get Hannah in here?
Oh, yeah.
It's stressful.
If Hannah was here, she would be very frustrated with what I'm going to be talking about today. Don't worry, she's in a different class. She can be frustrated then. As you're kind of finishing up your thoughts here in regards to whether it's wrong to steal or wrong to lie, we will discuss this. But I do want to make a note that as we continue through this class, I will be making arguments about things that I may or may not agree with. I'm not going to tell you whether or not I agree with them. And I'm going to be insisting upon some things that, once again, I might not agree with at all. And so that's something that's good to know now, and it's something that's going to be good to know kind of day in and day out. That will sometimes be the case. First question, is it wrong to lie? Let's have a show of hands. For those of you who say, yep, it is just wrong to lie, lying is bad. Okay, I've got 1, 2, One, two. Two people say that lying is wrong. Wow. Give your parents a round of applause for raising you guys. Go, mom and dad. How many of you say it's not wrong to lie? Let me see your hands. I would expect everybody else would put up their hand. It's not wrong to lie. So I say Emily says it's not wrong to lie. Ian, Crystal, Haley. What about Anna? Anna, is it wrong to lie?
I raised my hand for the first one.
Oh, okay. I just didn't see that. Okay, so some of you say that it's wrong to lie. I'll pick on you guys first before I go on to the people who are like, yep, lying's right. Sometimes you just got to do it. It's just a little fib. By the way, if you're telling yourself it's a little fib, then you're trying to already make an excuse for yourself. If you're going to just embrace that lying is right, then just do it. Just say, yes, lying is right. I love lying. So if it's wrong, so I'm going to pick on Sophie. Sophie, you said it's wrong. Why is it wrong to lie?
Because
Are you eating breakfast?
I'm eating pepper.
Oh, all right.
Okay, because the Lord hates a lying tongue. That's cheesy, but like if the Lord says not to lie and he thinks it's bad, why is it for us to say that it's not?
Okay, so would you say that there's ever a time when lying is the right thing to do? If the Lord hates a lying tongue?
You can maybe bend the truth, but not quite lie.
Wait, so God hates a lying tongue, but if you bend the truth, he's cool?
Yeah.
Does it say that in the Bible?
Is that not the same thing with different connotation?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Sophie, that you're using emotive language on me here. God hates a lying tongue, but if you bend the truth, you're good to go.
Nope.
Is that not emotive language, just like we already talked about?
I don't know.
Okay, so Anna, you said that lying is wrong, yes? Why is it
Yes.
wrong?
Because we're instructed not to do that by God.
God says lying is a no-no, so you
Yes.
shouldn't lie. Christina, what do you think?
Just kind of think that the truth always comes out anyway. So if you get caught in your lie, that's not a good thing to have happen. And again, God says not to lie. So like, why should we?
Okay, so I've got two different answers there as to why not. God says not to. Okay, God says not to. Although apparently God's okay with bending the truth a little bit. I like it. And then you say, well, you eventually get caught. But what if you have a really good chance of getting something really good, and the chances of getting caught is really small, Christina? You say the truth always comes out. Well, that's not necessarily true. Lots of times the truth actually doesn't come out at all. Just ask the politicians. Sometimes it does come out on them, but more often than not, they get away with it. You know what I'm saying?
But with the politician thing, like, yes, they get away with it, but like also it's like a stereotype for politicians to be untrustworthy. So they may get away with lies, but like at the same time now they have a name for themselves as being liars.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, they've done some pretty trashy things. I don't think that's a moral scale to go off of.
The politicians.
Yeah.
No, I'll admit politicians are not known for being great moral leaders. Generally speaking,
Good people don't usually get that much power.
But at the same time, what if you are a very well-respected person? The chance of getting caught's very, very small, and let's say it's even a nice thing. So I know that the vast majority of you in this particular class are girls, and so this is a kind of a common is it okay to lie in this instance thing. So I'll pick on Ian since he's the only boy here. Ian, supposing you're married and your wife is getting ready to go out with you to a nice dinner, and she asks you, because she's just really wanting a compliment here, she doesn't really want to know the truth, she just wants a compliment, does this dress make me look fat? Now,
No.
of course, you look at her and you're like, yeah, actually it does a little bit. dang it, what do I do here? No, she just wants the compliment. Come on, it's not that. I mean, just be nice. Is it right in that circumstance to just do what she wants? Give her the compliment. I mean, whatever.
I think it's fine to lie circumstantially, yes.
Okay, so in that circumstance, lying would be okay.
Yes.
Okay, ladies, what do you think? If you just want your husband to give you a compliment, isn't it okay for him? Isn't he good and nice and kind for him to just lie a little bit? How many of you say, yep, let me see your hands. Yep, it's good. Just give me the compliment, even if you don't think so. Yep. Yes. Okay. Christina, you're not saying yes, and Lindsay, you look like you want to kill me or something. So Christina, you say no? Husband needs to be like, actually, it does make you look fat. See you in divorce court.
No, I mean, I'd rather have someone be honest with me. I mean, granted, I want to hear it nicely, but I'd rather have someone tell me the truth than like lie and just tell me like.
Okay, well, I think it probably would depend on. I mean, supposing you're married to a guy, and a lot of guys aren't real good at this, and sometimes some women really like to hear compliments, right? They really like it. And husband's kind of an idiot. Like, he just doesn't give compliments like he should. He just doesn't know. I mean, it's his personality. And so you're just fishing for the compliment, right? You don't really you just want a compliment from your husband, right? So you ask him, you set him up for a compliment. Shouldn't he just lie, give you the compliment? Isn't that right? Wouldn't it be right for him to be kind to you that way?
Hey, don't phrase the question like that.
All right, well, supposing you did, or someone did because they were, messing up on the question. Should have phrased it a bit differently.
I still would rather have him, even though I would like, okay.
Okay, with the dress thing.
Yeah.
So, first of all, if I look fat, I'll probably notice that before he does. So I'll be like, I'll like, and if he tells me, if he's like, a little bit, then I'll cry, but I'll go change, and then we'll be fine. But if he always says I look good, and I know I don't, I won't trust this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's you, Sophie, but there are a lot of women where that's just, that's guy's not always complimenting her at all, and she just wants a compliment. Okay, so I'm not saying about, you particularly, because you say, well, in my circumstance, it would be different. Well, fine, maybe it would be. But for a lot of people, that's not the case, right? They have different circumstances, and you say you'd be on top of it. But wouldn't it be nice for the guy to just give her the compliment? Emily, you say yes.
Well,
Right?
I think like if you're asking the question, you already know the answer. Like that's like I feel like how a lot of women phrase questions. Like if I'm asking you if I look fat, I already know if I look fat or not. And
Well,
like
yeah,
if she's
of course.
asking for the question, she probably looks good, and so like she just wants the compliment. And so
Yep.
I think give her the compliment either way because she already knows what she looks like, and she's gonna change whether or not he thinks she looks fat in it or not.
You're exactly right. And look, and just because she thinks she looks great, if she's actually asking for, is she even really asking for the husband's honest opinion? No.
Yeah.
Even though she phrases it that way. And so wouldn't it make sense just to say a little lie, just to be nice? After all, aren't we supposed to love our spouse?
Exactly.
In that
Not loving to
circumstance.
tell the truth, though.
Well, in that circumstance, isn't it more loving to pay a compliment?
Yes.
Not if it's a lie.
Well, it's just a little
But
lie.
you already know. Like you already know what the
It's
answer
a
is
little lie.
for the woman asking the question.
Well, I mean, I suppose it depends on the woman, right? I don't
But
know.
you probably say honestly, like you'd be like, honestly tell me, not just like, hey, do I look like fat in this dress, like looking for a compliment? Or you'd say like, hey, honey, honestly tell me, what do I look like? I
Yeah,
feel like
that would
there's
be a different sort of question, wouldn't it? But it's the same words. We've already
Yes.
talked a little bit about accent, and that's a potential, important that you listen and pay attention to what's really being asked for here. Okay, let me change the scenario on you just a little bit. Let's put the classic. Classic scenario, is it wrong to lie? And I know about half of you said in this case it would be right for the guy to lie. Half of you said no, it's wrong. Okay. We talked a little bit about why, right? You're gonna be found out as a liar. and God says not to. Okay, well, how about this? It's 1936. You're in Nazi Germany. Your neighbor's Jewish. You have a big house, and the Nazis are trying to put Jewish people into internment camps, and you have heard that they are death camps. So you decide that you're going to do your best to save your neighbors whom you are friends with. And so you bring them over, and you kind of cordon off a section of your basement that's kind of hard to get to, secret passageway. And then there's a SS officer comes knocking on the door and says that he's heard reports that there was a Jewish family living next door. Do you happen to know of their whereabouts? That's the question. And you know exactly their whereabouts, right below your feet. How many of you say it is actually right, you ought to lie in this circumstance? It's right to lie to save your neighbors. It's right to lie to save your neighbors. Let me see.
Wait, didn't this actually happen though? Like, to Corey ten Boom, right? Like, they came to their house and was like, "Do you guys have Jews here?" And they said yes. And the officers thought they were making fun of them, so they left. So they left.
Yeah, I've heard that. That does happen. That did happen on one occasion. The other times that they tried that, it didn't work. They died. So there's that. So how many of you would say, yep, it's right to lie? It's right to lie to save people's lives. Ian, come on. If you're gonna lie to your wife, wouldn't you want to save your neighbors?
You know, I had an interesting answer for the next question, and if I say it's okay to lie here, I'm kind of going to be discontinuous with my answer about stealing. So
that's okay. Logical incongruity happens in ethics class all the time, at least to start with. So I would say don't worry about it. And the good news is this: it's just how you're raised. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Okay, Lindsay, what do you think?
Consistent.
Should you lie? Is it right to lie in that circumstance?
Wait, which circumstance are we talking about?
We're talking about the Nazi coming and knocking on your door.
I think it's good to lie.
It's good to lie?
Mm-hmm.
Haley, what do you think? Good to lie? Why is it good to lie in this case? What makes it okay?
Just the fact that it should be okay to lie because it's other people's lives at risk.
Yeah, you're saving other people, right? So of course it's right to lie. Sophie, my guess is you're struggling with this one a little bit more than the does this dress make me look fat sort of a situation.
Listen
What
to
do you
me.
think? Is it right to lie to save someone's life?
Okay, so the Lord says he hates lying tongue, but you know what he also hates?
Bending the truth. I mean, what? Sorry.
Betrayal. You know what he also hates? Murder.
Yeah. He's not a big fan of any of those things. You're right.
So I'm gonna go, I'd rather lie than get someone murdered.
So is it the right thing to do?
Yeah.
So the Lord likes a lying tongue in that case?
To avoid the murder, yes.
Okay, so when the Bible said the Lord hates a lying tongue, just means in some circumstances, not all of them.
Most of them.
Most circumstances. How do you know that that's the case? How do you know that's God's intention?
Because I talked to him sometimes and he said, yeah, that's chill.
God told you that?
No, I don't know. Because logically, dead or fibbed, someone die or I lie. I'd much rather lie than have someone die. That rhymed. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Anna.
I do think it would be wrong to lie, but also if I were in that situation, I would, and I would feel guiltier if I told the truth.
So it's wrong to lie, so you shouldn't lie.
Yes.
But you would anyway.
Yeah.
So you know that you would do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Why would you do the wrong thing if it's the wrong thing to do? Just because it would make you feel better?
I mean,
for the right goal.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes good to do the wrong thing for a good goal.
No. I'm not just saying. I'm just saying what I would do if I were put in that situation.
But you admit it would be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Although it is the absence of truth,
what was that?
although it is the absence of truth when you lie, at the same time though, like there's many, like, would God rather you have someone, like even his own people in that certain circumstance, like if you know that that person is going to die and going to be punished without good cause, human judgment, not God's, and is it better than to just fit that one bill and not lie and have all these other bad things come from it?
Yeah, so does the end justify the means, right? Sometimes you gotta lie to help save people. And in that case, you can break the good old 10 commandments, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take that thought and go to the next one. Is it wrong to steal? How many of you say, yep, it's wrong to steal? See your hands, it's wrong to steal, wrong to steal, wrong to steal. Okay, everybody says wrong to steal. Okay, Sophie, got a question for you.
Okay, just go ahead. Murder me now.
I'm not going to murder anyone because I'm going to say murder is going to be wrong in at least most circumstances. Although maybe you'd say in some circumstances it would be appropriate.
Okay.
Like baby Hitler, you know what I'm saying? Oh, there's baby Hitler. This time it's right to, okay, that's a completely different thing. And we'll get to that maybe eventually. But how about this, right? So you just said last time, lie versus save people's lives.
Yeah.
You live in a small village. There's
Okay.
no other villages close. This is a long time ago, before modern transportation facilities. And there's one guy who kind of owns most of the little village. He has a bakery. He charges a lot for bread. Your spouse has died, and you have a 1-year-old. 1-year-old is going to go hungry if you don't get bread. That rich guy, who's very selfish, happens to have a bakery, and he bakes so much bread that actually quite a bit of it goes to waste, and he doesn't care. You beg to have a loaf of bread to help feed your 1-year-old, but the guy's like, yeah, no, not cool with that. And then you realize that he doesn't really even lock his bakery door. You could sneak in, you could probably steal a couple loaves of bread, which, by the way, probably going to go bad anyway because he lets this stuff happen all the time. Like moldy bread is out there sometimes. Sneak in and steal the bread in order to save your child. If you're willing to lie in order to save somebody, are you willing to also, just a rule here. Is it right to then steal?
Yeah.
You said yeah?
I'm not saying it's, well, okay. I'm not saying it's right, but again, steal some bread. I'm going to steal some bread.
So is it right to do it?
No, I'm not saying it's right.
Is it wrong to do it?
Yeah. But
is it wrong to do it? We're talking about.
I don't want my
Sophie,
child to be dead.
What you would do. We're talking about what is right. What is the right thing here to do? Is it right to steal the bread? Is it wrong to steal the bread? I'll let you think about that for a minute. And I'm going to bug Lindsay a little bit. Lindsay, what do you think? Is it right to steal the bread here?
To steal the bread?
Baby. What's 2 loaves of bread that are going to go moldy anyway? You know what I'm saying?
Or your kid's going to die? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, if they're just going to go moldy, because that guy's not even going to use his bread, so why not just take it?
Exactly.
He's not just going to give it to you, so.
Yeah, so is it right to steal it?
Wait. How would you know if you didn't ask?
We're saving waste.
Oh, you already did.
whole
He said
bakery.
no. You already did, and he said no a couple times.
Okay.
So how many of you say, yep, it's actually right to steal the bread to save your kid? Give me a thumbs up or wave your hand. I don't care either way. So I've got 1 saying, yes, it's right. 2 say it's right. Only 2? Come on, Sophie. Isn't it right? Isn't it right?
What did you say? Ask it again.
Is it right to steal the bread to save your child?
Yeah.
It's wrong.
I never said it. Well, oh my gosh, you're making.
So, oh, she disappeared. Emily
I'm sorry,
Bourne.
I don't want my computer to die. I mean, I kind of do because I want to get out of this conversation.
Okay, I'll stop bugging you. Emily Bourne, what do you think?
I think that it isn't right because, like, even though you have a 1-year-old, like, I mean, like, obviously that's a sad situation, but you should be able to find other ways instead of stealing. And maybe you could go talk to him and see if you could, like, work out a deal and get the stale bread and just be like, hey, it's going to go bad anyway.
Yeah, you
Can I
already
have-
tried that. He said no. Guy's not a fan of babies.
Okay, well, I mean, you can still breastfeed a 1-year-old. That's what I'm saying.
Not
can't
much
go
food.
hungry.
Not much food in the area. It's kind of all dried up. So.
Gosh dang it. That was my
I'm not gonna
go-to.
wi-
But
So, by the way, guys, you can try to wiggle out of every single ethical scenario I give you, but I'll find a way to keep you in it. Just to let you know right now.
Wait, why are you saying it's dried up? Because there's like 3-year-olds.
Yeah, but that's because, well, there's multiple different things, Sophie, and I'm not going to go talking about it. And yes, there are 3-year-olds, and that's kind of weird, right? But the truth of the matter is, the chances of that happening when food sources are scarce is much greater, because the tendency is for the human body to try to preserve itself at the cost of the infant. So there you go.
Okay.
okay, well, there are jobs that the mom could do while having a 1-year-old, that like cleaning a house or something like that, to earn money.
Already tried. There's nothing to be had. She's tried every honest option.
You know what? I think I would just go steal the bread. This guy sounds like a butthole.
Just kill the baker and take the whole bakery.
Doesn't mean that it's okay to steal from him, does it?
A coup.
Yeah,
Full send.
I don't know.
Full
Like-
send. I'm going to hell, but it's fine.
Does the Ten
Sally's
Commandments
killing the
say, "Thou
baker.
shalt not steal," unless the guy is a
It's
real
okay. God will forgive you.
rapper? That's not what it says.
I think we should steal. I think we should murder the baker and just take the whole bakery and then start a whole new
You know,
life.
we're all in this village, right? We could just
Amen.
go and take over. Let's do it.
And then just repent for your sins.
This baker's
down.
probably
Settle
really
down,
sad.
George Osney down.
You want to overthrow the baker and share the means of production? Great, thanks, communists.
Yes.
That's not the question. The
Make him
question is
change
not,
his
is it
will.
right to murder
Yes,
the
it's
baker
okay.
and
We.
steal his
It is
bacon?
okay to steal.
The question
Save
is,
the
Murder
baby.
the baker. Make it an accident.
bread to feed the baby.
Make the murder an accident.
Save the baby. Embrace communism. Let's go.
Okay.
Steal the bread.
So let me see, quick show of hands here. How many of you say, yeah, it's right to steal the bread to save the kid?
We're past that now. We're killing the baker to get the bread.
Okay, so the vast majority of you are saying it's right to steal in this instance.
Yep.
So the vast majority of you are saying it's right to steal in this instance. Okay, so when the Bible says, "Thou shalt not steal," and doesn't seem to give like exceptions to that, is the Bible wrong?
No, but the Bible can't say, thou shalt not steal, except when your baby is starving because there's a mean baker that won't give you the bread. It's not going to have every single exception in the
It's
entire.
a big book, all right? Have you read Leviticus? There's a lot of stuff in there where you're like, I really don't know why that's in there. They could have
That brings up entirely different questions on whether it's old or new law.
So maybe, guys, what if this is the case? So we've talked a little bit about, is it right to steal? Is it wrong to steal? Is it right to lie? Is it wrong to lie? What about this? Is it okay for me to lie if I have grown up in a culture that claims that lying is a sign of cleverness? And that's all I've done. I've grown up in that. And so for me, lying is kind of what I've been taught to do. These are little lies. These aren't big lies, but little lies are a sign of cleverness. And of course, that's what you want to, every kid wants to be clever. So I've grown up believing that lying is right. Is it okay then for me to lie? How many of you say, yeah? If in your culture lying is a sign of cleverness, then and you've been taught that, and that's kind of who you are and how you've grown up, how many of you say, yep, it's true? Let me see your hands.
Okay,
I mean, you'd have grace for a little bit.
I don't think it's right, but in their eyes, they think it is.
Well, yeah, obviously, because you've grown up in a different culture, right?
Yeah,
You've
because
grown up in a culture that says, you know, do not lie. And I've grown up in a culture that says lying is a way of showing that you're smart. So for me, it's right, and for you, it's wrong. Is that
just because you perceive something one way doesn't mean it's
No.
right.
I don't think it's still right. I think it's wrong. But she's not going to agree with me.
Okay, so you say it's still wrong, and how do you know it's still wrong?
Because I'm right, she's wrong.
What makes you the arbiter of truth? She just muted herself. That's so funny. What makes you the arbiter of truth? Oh, muted. Okay, and so let's have that thought kind of in the back of our minds here. But before we go any further, let's get a few definitions down. I don't know if you've noticed, we were struggling with this earlier. The idea of, is there a difference between what is right and maybe what is necessary, or what I would do? So Anna was saying, you know, it's wrong, but I would do it. Okay, well, if it's wrong, why would you do it? Well, because it's right to do. You know, she didn't quite say that, but deep down, you have to kind of think that it's the right thing to do if you're going to go do that for somebody else. Now, you could think it's look, as human beings, we tend to be a bit selfish, am I right? So lots of times we do the wrong thing for our own benefit. But when you're doing something that's that risky as lying to Nazis for the sake of your neighbors, it's not about you. That's about you helping people. That's about other people, right? And so the question is that the right thing to do? Is it actually right to do it? Let's get definitions of what ethics is, what morality is, and a working definition of right and wrong for the rest of the class down. What is ethics? It's actually a branch of philosophy that deals primarily with pursuit of the good, the meanings and justifications of various moral codes, and the attempted defining of right and wrong. It's an entire branch of philosophy. There's lots of other branches of philosophy, from things like epistemology to teleology to jurisprudence. The branch of philosophy known as ethics focuses on what is good, what is the proper code of conduct, what is character. However, unlike some ethics courses that you could potentially take at the university, this ethics course, though it will be, I think, pretty close in terms of intellectual requirements to a college course. So if you go to Lynn Benton or even George Fox and you take an introductory level ethics course, be pretty similar in terms of the amount of content and the level that the reading is and whatnot to one of those. But unlike those courses, this course will have a fairly strong personal element to it. In other words, we are not just examining differing ethical systems, but we will be choosing from among the existing ethical systems that we learn about individually what we think is the correct one. And it's not going to be, of course, binding. It's not like, you know, if you choose utilitarianism to write your personal ethical system thesis paper on, that you have to be, that you know, it's sort of like, well, you've devoted yourself to your religion, or you've married yourself to a spouse and you're kind of stuck there for the rest of your life. You can say later, you know what, I'm not necessarily, I've changed my mind. But that is the purpose of the class, to be looking not just through the existing ethical systems, but also to discern what's the right one. What do you think the right one is? A term that you'll often hear used is the term morals, and I think it's pretty important that we talk about, find a working definition of right and wrong. And that is what we were talking about here just a few minutes ago. And I think by not having these things defined in a working fashion, there was some amount of difficulty, such as, well, I would do this because it's necessary. You know, I would lie to the Nazi because it's necessary, but I don't think it's right. Okay, well, how does that make sense? Right? If you ought to lie to the Nazi to save the neighbor, then it's right. And if you ought not, then you ought not. And so let's get a working definition, and I've been using that working definition just the last minute or so. Right represents what we ought to do, and wrong represents what we ought not do. And oftentimes, we as human beings will act in ways that are wrong. And we know that it's wrong. We know that we ought not do such and such, and we go ahead and do it. But the purpose of this class is not to say what would you do, but rather what should you do. And then once you know what you should do, then you should do it, right? So in other words, we're not saying what would I do, because that's kind of a stupid question. It doesn't really have anything to do with ethics at all. Let's ask the ethical question first and then follow where that reasoning leads. Okay, I've got a question for you. Is the Pope behind me moving? Go ahead and take a look at him. There he is. See him? Look real close. Is he moving?
No.
Nope, he's not moving, I guess, is he? Just kind of sitting there on the couch all by
With
himself.
peace
Ian,
sign.
you're flopping your hands around. What are you wanting to say here?
I mean, if my monitor is refreshing at a rate of 144 hertz a second, then yes, he would be moving, but you know, it's okay, technically.
Well, yeah, you're actually absolutely right. That is the case. In fact, me and the Pope here are moving together, and we're also not moving at the same time. You guys might be saying, wait, what are you talking about? Turns out that I am sitting here at my desk, and I'm not really moving, but I'm also moving. I'm moving actually at 1,000 miles per hour. Do you guys know that? I'm moving right now at 1,000 miles per hour because the Earth spins at about 1,000 miles per hour. So I am both moving and not moving. The Pope behind me is more digital than anything else, but whatever. Pretend he's real. Pretend it's a real poster back there. Is the Pope moving? Well, yes and no. He's moving at 1,000 miles per hour, and he's also not moving, at least not in relation to where I'm sitting. Turns out, though, that he's not only moving at 1,000 miles an hour, he's also moving at 67,000 miles per hour, because that is how fast the Earth is moving around the sun. So you see, he's not moving. He's moving at 1,000 miles an hour, and he's moving at 67,000 miles per hour. But even more so from a photon's perspective, he and I are moving at, well, 620 million miles per hour. So there's that too. So you see, the answer to the question, is the Pope moving or is Mr. Cook moving, is this: it depends upon your frame of reference. And this is potentially the answer to right and wrong as well. What is right? Is it right to steal? Well, it depends upon your frame of reference. You see, you guys have been taught something growing up. You guys have been taught that lying is wrong. All of you have been taught this. And most of you have agreed that lying is, at least in general, wrong. However, you've also been taught that there are certain circumstances where lying is acceptable. At least some of you have been. Some of you more strongly than others. So let me ask Sophie. Sophie, maybe she's not in the mood to talk anymore. Are you not in the mood to talk?
No, I'll talk.
In your household, has there been a lot of talk about occasionally it's good to break the rules for the overall good, or are they pretty much like, nope, follow the rules?
Like lying is a big thing in my house. Like if you lie, like you're basically dead.
No, I could have guessed that from your answers before. That's why I called on you, because I figured that you had grown up in a home that strongly discourages lying. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you lie, you might as well like kiss goodbye your life. Because
Yep.
you were like, I lied once and I had 2 weeks and I wasn't allowed to leave my room.
Wow. Yeah.
It was bad. It was really
The
bad.
other reason why I kind of figured that you were grown up in a family, along those lines, was because you pulled that verse out awfully fast. The Lord despises a lying tongue. Well, bam! First thing you said was that. It's like, wow, you definitely have heard that emphasized at home. Can I pick on, let's see, Crystal.
Yes.
Crystal, you seem to think that lying is sometimes okay.
Well, that like my family isn't like totally like Sophie's. Like my dad's the type of guy that he thinks if you cuss, it helps pain.
It helps what?
Pain, like your pain threshold.
So if you curse, it helps your pain.
So like that's from my family, and Paige is right here, and she agrees with that statement. So like, I don't know. I think it kind of depends on like your family, because like my family is a bit more chill than Sophie's, I feel. And
Yeah.
I mean, my mom's pretty fun.
So when it comes to cussing, that's a different story for my family.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can't compare that with lying.
Is
There's
it
just
actually the
aspects.
cuss word though, or is it just the fact of yelling? Because you could yell potato and that were just as well as saying the F word.
No.
Really? Okay, never mind.
Anyway,
But like,
whatever.
it's like it's almost like on your family, like how your parent, like, because like Sophie said, like that's a big thing in her family is like not to lie, and like in other houses, like it's just kind of a given, but like it's also like if it's for the good.
Yeah, exactly. So the point is this. You guys tended to agree when I asked the question about lying with generally the attitude of your own households, how you've grown up. Is the Pope moving? It depends upon your frame of reference. Is lying wrong? It depends upon your frame of reference. For some of you, you've grown up in homes that condemn lying very, very strongly. And so lying is simply just wrong. For some of you, lying is kind of wrong, but not emphasized nearly as much. And you almost all voted along those same lines. So you see, morality really does depend upon the frame of reference that we have. So let me go back to the question of this. If I was born into a culture that claimed that lying was actually a sign of cleverness, and I had never read that the Lord despises a lying tongue, I never read that. My parents never said that. They never agreed with that, and I just believe that lying is kind of a good thing. And I'm not talking about like big bad lies. I'm just talking about being clever. You know, would that be wrong for me? What do you guys think?
How can it
That's
be
the
wrong
question,
if
guys,
you
that I'm
don't?
actually going to leave you with today. I'm going to leave you with that question. Is it right for me to lie? And we'll ask more about these questions. Emily, are you okay? Is it right to lie? Are you okay, Christina? Is everyone okay?
I'm fine.
Brain hurts.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping we're all
yes.
good. And just remind yourselves that next time you have the urge to do something that might be wrong, just say, well, that was how I was raised. So there it is. Okay, guys, keep in mind I may have said some things today I didn't necessarily agree with. Hope you have a lovely weekend. Before you go, though, really quickly, you have an assignment coming your way. It's reading just a few pages out of the course pack. Hopefully you have access to the course pack. It's the first article that's like 3 pages, and then the third article, I think, is just 1 page. There'll be a very brief quiz over a 1-question quiz. If you've taken my AP US history class, you know all about how this works. 1-question quiz, you respond to the question, and then we have a brief discussion about the article, or in this case, articles, after the 1-question quiz to earn points back. This will be worth 5 points instead of like an AP US history because they were long, very intense texts. So 5 points here, and then of course we can add points based upon how well we answer the questions after we are done answering the question. So any questions about that before I say sayonara, enjoy the rest of your day, and then of course be wandering around wondering if all your values were basically just implanted by your parents and it's all relative. Celia.
So I was wondering if the next time that we have like a quiz of some kind, is that like when you post like the study guide, for example, last time, if maybe you could post it instead like as an assignment, because I had seen it, but then it got lost in my stream, and I normally write down what I have to do on my to-do list. So when it didn't come up, I forgot about it. And so I was wondering if next time when you post stuff for like next test coming up, or even if there's not a study guide, if you could just say, hey, like,
Yes.
As an assignment, so it'll come up on the feed then.
Okay. Was that not the case for, I thought you said that there was a test that was coming and that was in the assignments. Was that not?
No, it was just posted as information. If it's not as an assignment, then it doesn't come up on to do. Like there's not a submit button, so it's not like, oh, you
So
have
like
to
put
do
it as a due date. Put it as like a due date right before the class.
I will. I've actually already started doing that. I've heard a couple people mention some similar things, so I'm making the switch. But yeah, that's frustrating that doesn't come up as a. Yeah. So when I post material, does it disappear pretty quick on you? So if I post like.
It depends on how much else you post to cover it. Like.
So if you guys click on something like week 4. Does all that stuff that I've assigned show up in that one section, or do you have to like click around and find little chunks everywhere else?
I haven't really looked at it. I can peek real quick. Like, are you talking about in the classroom section? Oh yeah.
So if you click on week 4, it should be like a topic. Does all the assignments and material for that whole week show up there?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will make the suggested changes, but I would suggest as well for you guys, click under the topics, because I try to keep all the assignments that are happening that week in that topic, week 4. And so next week should be week 5. I don't think there's anything that's popped up yet, but there will be some things popping up in week 5 next week already. So, but yeah, I'll try to put everything in the assignment category. That way you guys can see it, and I'll just say that it's ungraded, even if it will eventually be graded.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, guys, thank you. We'll see ya.
Paige likes our class more.
What was that?
I like this class better than my class.
Yeah, well, yeah, your class actually talked though a little bit today. That was pleasant.
That was a surprise.
Yeah.
She just sat on my floor and laughed while we all like talked though.
Yeah.
You were laughing about the whole thing?
Yeah.
Listening to this class struggle with the, yeah.
I don't know, I just think it's funny because like Sophie literally stole like some of my clothes and she knows she did. And she's like, oh, I'll give them back. I don't know when. And I was like, is stealing right? And Sophie's like, no. And I was like, oh, that's funny.
You know, that's very good. I should, yeah, I wish I'd known that. I would have bugged her about it in class.
Hey, just wait till next time.
Sophie was the entertainment today.
Thank you.
That was the entertainment today. You're right. Right.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye as well.
Question, Haley.
So when can I take the test?
Oh yeah, good question. We are doing a kind of a makeup get together time tomorrow at 1. Tomorrow at 1, same link and everything. If you are available then, that would be best. And if not, then we can come up with an alternate time.
I can try doing that.
Okay. And if not, then send me an email. We'll come up with a different time. So.
Okay. You said tomorrow at 1?
Yep, tomorrow at 1. Thursday at 1 is the ethics test makeup time. So.
Okay. All right. That was all. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. We'll see you then.
Yes, see you.
Yep, bye-bye.